What's going on, everybody? Butzy here. Welcome to yet another edition of the Bible with Butzy Journey Through Judges. Let's jump right back in to the story of Gideon because we left off with him last time. So Gideon is this judge. He's a great guy, really courageous, but at the same time, real nervous and afraid. And we saw that last time. He was emotional with God, he was vulnerable with God, and God reassured him, no, I've chosen you for a reason. You are going to be judge over my people. Okay, that's the setup. This week we jump right into some action. So, God's first task for Gideon. Okay, one of the big things, Gideon, that my people are struggling with right now are worshiping other idols in the area. Now, these are gods, idols, things of other cultures in the area that are taking them away from God. One of the biggest gods in the area is this god named Baal. And one of Gideon's first tasks as a judge is to take down these altars of Baal in and around the place where he lives. Now, Gideon, being the typical Gideon self, says, yeah, sure, but let's do it at night so that they can't see us, okay? And it's funny, like these are literally parts of Scripture. So if you take a look, we're in chapter 6 still. Chapter 6, verse 27. Gideon goes to go do the Lord's work at night. Verse 27, so Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as the Lord had told him. Great job, he did it. He did what he told him. But because he was too afraid of his family and the men of the town to do it by day, he did it by night. Family's a scary thing, man, especially if you don't know what they're going to say or do. There's a lot of people that were following these gods and worshiping at these altars, and it was going to be a big deal for all of a sudden these altars to be torn down. Amazing scene the next day because Gideon's dad, Joash, starts hearing all these things from the people in the town saying, you know what, I think Gideon took this down. We should string him up. And guess what Joash does? He goes full Papa Bear action and he says, you know what? Do not string up my son. It's a good thing we got rid of these altars. We need to follow the true God. And if anybody touches my son. So here's what's, again, in Scripture. Starting in verse 30, everybody's complaining to Gideon's papa, yeah, we probably got to kill your son because he took down our awesome altar. Check this out, verse 30. Then the men of the town said to Joash, bring out your son that he may die, for he has broken down the altar of Baal and cut down the Asherah beside it. And this is Joash's response. But Joash said to all who stood against him, will you contend for Baal, or will you save him? Whoever contends for him shall be put to death by morning. If he is a god, let him contend for himself, because his altar has been broken down. In other words, okay, let's see if this God that we've been worshiping at this altar is really real. If so, he can defend himself. If not, he ain't real. Awesome, awesome response. Gideon was afraid. He did it anyway. And in that next paragraph, it says, you know what? Gideon's dad stepped up to the plate just like Gideon did. He was faithful and he defended his son and he defended God. So awesome. So that's the first part of today's passage. But then I want to get to this other weird thing with the fleece, right? So Gideon, he's encouraged by God at first. His own dad backs his play when he destroys the Asherah poles and the altars at Baal. And even still, Gideon is nervous. He says, oh, okay. I get it, God. You want me to be this judge? That's great. But you know what? I got this nice like wool fleece. And you know how like in the morning when there's like that little dew on the ground and it's real nice. Like when you're camping out under the stars, it's like, oh, I'm a little bit wet. Oh yeah. Here's the thing. I still want you to reassure me because I'm a little nervous. If you could just take this fleece wool, I'm going to lay it right on the ground overnight. Next day, if the fleece is all damp, but everything around it has no dew, like all the grass and everything is dry, then I'll know that you're on my side and that I'll be okay going into these next battles. Of course, guess what God does? He does it. Miracle. And then he said, okay, that's good. One more time, except let's do the opposite. Will you make the fleece all dry and when you make the grass around it all wet? Boom, God does it again. And this sets up one of the craziest battle scenes, I think, in all of the Bible. So it's funny because it uses the number 300, and we always think of 300 as those 300 Spartans that fought off the Persians that's been popularized in pop culture over the past 10 years. But I'm telling you that even before those 300, God decided to use Gideon and 300 other men to defend Israel, and the story of that is next week. Also, as another plug, we are finally regathering as a youth group. I'm so excited. This Sunday night, June 28th at 7 p.m. at the Chapel Fire Pit, we're going to be regathering in small groups to catch up and find out how the heck we're all doing. Make sure to join us there and stay tuned for the Bible with Butzy coming at you next week.